So I've finished watching a couple episodes of Butareba, the story of a man turned into a pig. When talking about the show, you're either of two mindsets. One, that it's softcore bestiality, masquerading as an isekai, being closer to like furry territory than most anime fans are willing to go. Since we're on the topic, I'm fine with Shoot Hero. That line right after Dog and Scissors, that's my line. And I don't think we need to even talk about the show from like last season, Anuka-san's dog. Or you're of the second mindset where you want to play devil's advocate and give the show a fair shot. It's a show where the main character doesn't say a word, but he thinks it. I find it funny how fans are getting the pitchforks out, calling him a pervert for not what he's saying, but for what he's thinking. Bro, if I gotta be held liable to crimes I have not actually done, but hypothetically thought, then I guess I'm guilty too. Cause I don't wanna live in a world where my future wife knows all the nastiest, most disgusting techniques I'd like to respectfully use on her. Because Isekai isn't simply about a person going to slay the Demon King anymore. To be honest, it never was about that. It's about putting a new person who has no idea about the surrounding world around them and dropping them into an already developed story. Over the course of substantial amounts of entries into the genre, tropes were formed and the vast majority of failures defined what exactly Isekai is about. And all this did was disillusion an audience away from the idea of what it always was, adventure. An adventure that can only now reach a satisfactory conclusion if we, the player, resume the journey. Now this is where Butareba differs from the general list of the shows here. Isekai Yakiyoku, it's an isekai but mixes modern medicine with magic. Shojin Kokushi Tachiwa Isekai, it's an isekai but we reinvent everything. Cooking Isekai, it's an isekai but I just buy stuff online and make delicious ass meals. The point is these shows are just normal people being isekai'd but doing what they normally would have done even if this wasn't a fantasy world. It's like you going to another country and still eating all the same stuff you normally would eat. You're acting like it's a normal Tuesday and there's not a fire-breathing dragon in your face, or that you're not using magic for the first time. In Butareba, the main character is a pig, so he has to go along with what's happening. He's constantly asking questions because he has no clue of what's happening, like he should. He has to rely on his allies if he wants to live or to be turned back into a human. If Pig wants any chance of not being eaten or raised like an animal, he has to follow along the only person that treats him like a human still. Even then, it could turn out that what's happened to him is irreversible, that the journey was for nothing, that the only person he considers a friend will still die to her fate. When you think about Butareba, it's an interesting story and concept where the player is not the hero fighting for the good of the world, but a simple mob character in another person's story. Other shows like to portray this and make their main character feel and think that he's a mob character, but not for a second do we the audience think of him as this. So this 19-year-old, four-eyed science major is turned into a pig, and I'm gonna be real, this anime was like really egging on to my boy being a loser like I haven't even met, bro, and they trying to force feed the idea that this guy just ain't shit. Also, it's like 2023, we in a new era. Having glasses don't automatically make you a nerd, and vice versa. I gotta stand up for my glass wearing brethren. So bro just starts getting all philosophical, giving a long-winded monologue when he then sees the main girl being named Jess, but they're somehow able to understand him. The collar around her neck allows her to communicate thoughts to someone's mind, basically meaning she can read people's minds. Well, isn't that convenient? So she's able to hear his long monologue about him wanting to see her panties and any other dirty thought that he has. Like, who invented this? Had to be a woman. This has to be a top 10 worst items ever invented in human history. Do you know how many dirty thoughts a man could come up with? Especially the instant spontaneous ones. The ones where some women would be walking down the street and maybe you take a glance a little longer than you should and your brain just simply can't help itself. It does that shit on its own, like automatically. And there you go, you have a fight in the middle of the street for no fucking reason. Like, that's half of what men contribute to society. Like, do you think men just invented shit to better society and to help their fellow man? No. So Jess is a servant girl who will do any request that he asks for.
Get butt ass booty naked!
As she's about to do this, he stops her because this isn't a hentai, and the two of them start to flirt back with each other. Yes, she's getting rizzed out by a pig. I don't know how this conversation went, but bro is now just shaking his ass like he's an IG thought. Man is just shaking it for free. Like, that's a perfectly good waste of $40, with him somehow getting his wish in the end to seeing what's under the hood. Just explains magic, being the crystal system, and all you need to know is the black ones are superior. That's not me saying it, that's the anime, with Jess needing to buy a new one since she used the last one without her master's consent, which with Jess now having to replace it. And if she doesn't replace it, one of two things is gonna happen. Either she's gonna be marked as a thief and have to run away, or sell her body to the family for sex. I will say the second one is a contradiction as to some of the rules in this world, but I'll explain that later. But Pig tells her not to do that because he has a plan to make some money. For you see, sir, this is no ordinary swine. He's a super swine. Go on. It can do tricks. What kind of tricks? Why the hell are you looking at me? Oh shit, the plan's working. I did not see us get this far. Did you give that pig crack or something? Maybe. Will that get you to buy him? And the owner accepts buying this pig that's clearly on drugs. So it's time for the town festival, and I gotta hand it to these people. They know how to party. Like, if there wasn't an award for who had the wildest party in Isekai, I think this one takes the cake. First, they let the pig on the stage, and he's crushing it. Like, they're all laughing, having a good time. He's pulling out dance moves that these people have never seen before because it's like the freaking 1300s. They don't have no individualized dances, no TikTok trends. All they have is group line dances. So yeah, they have no imagination. And the pig is stealing the show. The pig. Like, do you know how crazy of a party you gotta have if you're letting barn animals have a shot at it? Everyone is drunk off their ass. The owner leaves for some unusual reason. Like, where the hell are you going in the middle of a party where you're making a lot of money? Silly. You know, but plot hole. The pig is able to outsmart these drunk people by organizing a new town tradition where the pig picks people to dance, which everyone gladly accepts, with you first having to do 10 shots of alcohol before you do your line dancing, and he does this multiple times. So hands down, this was the craziest party in all of Isekai, and these niggas are definitely fire. On his way back to Jess, he overhears these bandits talking about killing Jess. The bandits come to kill Jess, but the pig lures them into a trap where the two fight in a 1v1, and this guy lost to a pig. He has no hands, no legs, and you still lost to him. You cannot go back to the streets no more. Still, he manages to somehow stab him. I didn't see the animation for it. Seems like a plot hole. And the pig's about to die. Jess is crying, saying some nonsense like, "You can't die yet. You still haven't seen me naked yet." And I'm just like, what the fuck is happening in this anime? From this point on, we got lore explaining the real journey and the potential danger along the way. So the Yethmas, being her race, are raised to become servants, where once they turn 16, they must make a perilous journey to the capital, where upon making it to the capital, they're never seen again. But the moment they go to leave on this journey, some like emergency response is sent out everywhere, and what's known as like the Yethma hunters are dispatched to basically decapitate them, take their collars, and then collect their body, because they're worth a lot. Obviously, this is disgusting, deplorable, and it's really unfortunate, you know, that this is just being done to a race of people. But in the back of my mind, I'm just wondering who's buying them. Because, like, most people are against this from what you see in the world. But at the same time, they're valuable, which means that someone is buying them. Which means either the government or the people are just, like, lying about something here. Regardless, the two of them make it to the town where the owner has a Yethma servant who proceeds to tell them the backstory of all the Yethmas in this town who tried to hide out but died in a fire. When they go to the site of the incident, that's when they see one of those ugly, creepy looking chupacabra animals running away from this boy, with the boy killing it, named Notce. Now the pig is aware of this guy from the jump. He immediately knows that Jess is Yethma, who's going to the capital. The pig immediately sniffs him out, saying this guy definitely has a crush on her, with them next all going back to the end. This is when shit gets wild. The owner just comes by and he's just like hyping up this boy like, "Oh wow, you're like the best damn hunter we ever had, kid. But I know what you're doing here. I know she reminds you of her, and I suggest you not to do what you're about to do." And I'm just like, ominous. The servant girl Sarah comes back with some alcohol. Just as like, "I never drank alcohol before, teehee." And I'm just like, my danger senses are creeping up a little bit. The two of them drink, and that's when Jess becomes incoherent. The pig is like, "This is a bad idea, Jess." And she's just like, it's fine. He would never assault me," as he leads her to a room, then closes said room, and Mr. Pig's face is just like, oh no. And I'm just like thinking, is this the Berserk, Goblin Slayer, Heavenly Delusion, Radio of Healer plot twist? And like the pig, we are helpless to stop this. The bar girl, Sarah, is just crying, and I'm just like, bitch, did you know this was gonna happen? And that's when the bar girl and the pig have some deep talks about love, saying, do we really deserve it? And what does it really mean to love? And I'm just like, are you guys gonna do something about this to help out Jess? Like, she was just roofied, and Sarah's over here having an introspective conversation on love with a pig. Still, this continues on, and pig is basically able to sum up all four of their feelings for love. He's like, kindness mixed with proximity. Jess is a girl who's kind to everyone, meaning two desperate people like me and Notce could easily fall for her. Jess, on the other hand, isn't used to help from other people and having friends. Plus, her life is in constant danger since we've met. she'll take anyone if it means that they're gonna help her. And Saris, you're 13, where you work at a bar, with Notce being the closest boy in your age group who's relatively nice to you. Still, Saris wants to stop him from leaving her, so the next time she sees him, she blurts out that Pig is a human, trying to discourage Notce from leaving with Jess, seeing as Jess already has a partner. But Pig is not going with this shit at all, asking for Notce to still accompany them. Even given all that's happened, Saris is like, this is not what we agreed to, and both me and Pig are in agreement here. This is a matter of life and death. I'm not risking Jess's life on your childish crush, child. Pig explains that him and Jess barely won against a hunter who had a bad leg. The Pig has to be the adult in the room, and he's like, Saris, confess your feelings right now or hold your peace forever. And she does end up confessing. After that, he's like, cool, here's how it's gonna work. Notce is gonna bring us to the capital, and then he's gonna come back. In 3 years, when Saris, you become 16, he's now going to take you to the capital. When they get over to the next town, Pig is asking the real question of why didn't we just buy a carriage? Since it would be faster and cheaper to get to the capital, and probably less hunters would attack us. But Notce basically calls him an idiot, with there apparently being two big rules around the Ethmas. The first being you can't give any of them transportation, and the second being you're not allowed to sexually assault them, which is when they all starting to tighten up. So Pig, like a TMZ news reporter, asked the hard-hitting questions of, so what exactly did you do to Jess? Bar for bar, this is what he said. Shut up, I'm a hunter. Hunters have freedom. We respect Yethma's rights, and we treat them as equals. It doesn't matter if there's a law or not. Go ahead, make fun of me for what I did last night. But there are many times when even a man needs to vent a little, alright? And I'm just like, what in the 4th of July, 5th Amendment are you talking about? We're trying to realize if you busted a nut or not, if you forcibly entered or not. It's a real question that both Jess and Pig do not know the answer to. And it turns out all along that he was just simply crying. And I'm just like, bro, you didn't have to draw this out. This is all we wanted to know. And this is where I disagree with Pig, because Pig thinks he needs to go apologize to this man. I'm like, no, you don't. He's a stranger who got your friend drunk, locked the door, didn't come out for hours. Until that moment, both you and Jess had no idea what happened. That's when Notce has a flashback about Elise. And you know, after seeing the flashback, I get it, man. The girl was a little bit older, nice, a little bit doting on him, and basically promised to be his wife until she died in that incident. But that night, Jess gets a call from Blaze, being another Yethma, who is begging for help. After hearing that another Yethma is in danger, Notce immediately gets up and is motivated to go save her. After Notce beats the crap out of this priest and then goes back to swing on this bandit, they're able to save Blaze, with her joining the party. And after the group is able to solve the circumference around Blaze's boobs, answering the real question of which is truly better, small ones or big ones, they continue on with their journey. Notce decides to trust him a little bit more and gives him some new magical tools to basically help him fight, with him controlling water and ice. We get a little bit more history about Blaze's past, with it being rather depressing basically, but any Yethma in the story is pretty depressing, with Notce being the first person to hug her tightly basically. Blaze has a philosophical talk with the Pig. Noble Pig, I inquire to know the answer as to which do your world prefer, smaller ones or big ones. I for one cannot speak for all of my brethren, but I must confide in you that I do indeed like the small ones. And that's basically their conversation. When they get down to the serious matter at hand, she explains that all of her internal organs are basically gone and she's about to die. At this point, I'm too deep in the story and I just simply want to know, are they gonna rush the ending for the sake of the first season, or try to push to a second season where they explain more of the lore? And to be honest, both options kinda just suck, because I'm not gonna even lie to you, this story, while could be very interesting, is quite boring, because it definitely feels like we're just now truly starting the journey. And a lot of shows is a very good thing to get to this point and feel like you're just now actually starting the journey, but when you haven't really done anything up to this point, but the funny fourth wall breaks being the driving selling point by this point in the anime, I think the journey to the capital, while uncovering the mystery behind the Yethmas, to be rather interesting, but I don't know how long people are going to be willing to wait to get any real fantasy or action into the show. The idea behind the show is a 4 out of 5, but the actual execution of said shows more like a 2 out of 5, maybe 1.5.